Tenet 12. The nature of everything is natural. Nurturance is what nature does to itself. Everything is nature nurturing itself. If you went anywhere in school, then you may have come across a certain argument about nature versus nurture and the role that each of them play in our existence. The nature of something in this argument refers to that which occurs without human intervention. Nurture refers to all that the environment does to an organism or rock. These definitions are inaccurate. This argument is really presented to confuse you. These ideas define each other. Nature is everything that exists. Nurture is what nature does to itself. Nature nurtures itself. Everything that occurs is natural. Everything that we do is nature. There is really no better way to put it. I know you agree right now, but most people do not on any given day. I do not know why. I have a few ideas on why, but I do not know for sure. It all seems simple enough. Many people seem to think that we, as human beings, are not natural. Nothing could be further from the truth, which is what I'm trying to present. I explain all of this because people act so confused when they see humans doing strange or wicked things. Can you think of any wicked things to do? Of course you can. It is in your nature to be able to contemplate anything you want. I know you didn't want to contemplate wicked things just then, but it is just an example. What stops you from doing those things? Many other things, I am sure. The conversations that I have had with many people on this issue usually follow a very similar line of reasoning. I will pick it up at my favorite point. That which humans do is not natural. By this we mean that what we do would not happen if we, humanity, were not here. And that is correct. If humans were not here, we would not mutilate everything that we encounter. Unfortunately, that seems to come naturally for us. Sit down. I try further to convince you by saying styrofoam is natural, murder is natural, becoming neurotic in your old age is natural, doing drugs is natural. Everything that we do and have done is in accordance with someone's or some group's nature. You, like many, probably still think that life is difficult or impossible to create, and yet here you are reading. What you don't know is that we have already created life from non-living material. See Miller-Urey Experiments, 1953. In light of having done this, it remains very natural. This planet harbors life in severely extreme environments, more extreme than the environments than we see on our own planets and their moons. Water existed and may still exist on Mars. There is most likely life all over this universe. We would be very selfish to think otherwise. Our big cellular existence, and I don't mean phones, most likely came from the ocean and originated at very hot hydrothermal vents near the ocean floor. Life teems around these things, and the temperature is high enough to create cell-like structures that devour each other and become full single-celled organisms. This continues until you get us, fighting as we do over these very concepts. There are volcanic theories as well. Once we admit that we have occurred in nature, only then may we really start to investigate our own individual natures. We possess nearly all of the instincts of all the other animals on this planet. We have the same brain structures and genetic roots as all the other animals on this planet. People have not made this up. We discovered all of it. You may trust me, ignore me, or go find out for yourself. This is where you come from, and these are the basics. You do not like to be called an animal unless you do. You are an animal. You eat food and defecate. You hunt and gather. You build nests to survive the elements. For we seem so small in our world. You mate without realizing that you are attempting each and every time to reproduce. People screw like bunnies, especially certain cultures. Males posture like other mammalian animals, and females do a lot of maintenance like other animals do. These are only examples. You are partially correct in thinking that you are not like the other animals. You do seem to possess some other abilities that set you apart and enable you to conquer all the other organisms of this planet. We are human animals. We are still very sick and brutish in our development. When you deny your own animal nature, it can very easily consume you. Example. The club scene is literally a breeding ground. The men want to mate with every woman. The women want to snag a man to build a nest after he has made sweet, sweet love to her. Call me or write me to tell me I am wrong. Oh, and there is so much more that we do that is based on very basic animal instincts. Take hierarchies, for example. These are chains of command to achieve certain tasks. All organisms exhibit this. You are at work. You are not the boss, or you are the boss. You always answer to someone. Even in your position at work, you rule over some domain, be it object or people, just like every other organism on this planet. Like an amoeba, you move away from adversity, or like a moth to a flame, you move into it. In that all of the above is accurate, you should be able to communicate on some level with every organism on Earth. You would be communicating to a lion that you are food. Just kidding. If the lion isn't starving or insane, you should be able to hang out a little after establishing a relationship. That could take a while. You get the point. Once you admit that you are an animal, you start to notice how you act and how others act just to survive and reproduce. I know life is not this simple for you. That is why I'm trying with all my might to show you how we fit in as natural beings here on Earth. You will only continue to hurt yourself and those around you the longer you deny your true nature and tendencies. I say that for this reason. Those who deny their nature often find themselves victims to it in one way or another. I will now say that differently. Those who deny that they are the universe aware of itself often find themselves subservient victims to what the universe does. Since we are the universe, you have seen what we do to those who ignore us. Finally, there is no such thing as supernatural. If a ghost comes at me through my computer screaming, I will consider it a natural event since the universe is natural. I would actually welcome that kind of occurrence. If, and you should know I hate this argument, there were gods or awarenesses governing us, then they would be very natural, having occurred in the natural universe. If there are parallel universes, then they are natural. If the stars have something to do with me, then that would be natural. Other life forms coming to visit would be natural since they came from another planet that was also formed, you guessed it, naturally. Understanding this may help you to understand strange occurrences that have happened to you and that will happen to you in the future. One of the meanings that many assign to life is solely to survive over time. The complexities that make life possible, that support life, are far more advanced in comparison to the simple role of the organism. If we, as humans, as parts of nature, have chosen and choose to manipulate our environment, then so be it. If we do so to the extreme to which we threaten our own survival and our extinction is possible, perhaps inevitable, then we, as parts of nature, must submit to nature's natural course. We are nature controlling itself. We are natural. Like ants manipulating their environments to provide shelter, the only constructive power that we possess to counter the destruction we reap is the constructive power of reason and invention. It is my hope that this sets you up to understand a few things that I will go into following chapters. If you're following, then you probably know where I'm going with this tenet, and I would have it no other way. If you do know where I'm going with this, then I must be doing something right. I'm pretty sure that you will not deny that everything on this planet does everything naturally. Unfortunately, I have come to understand that you do not think the same of humanity. I take pleasure in telling you the opposite. Everything that humans do is completely natural, even the most atrocious things. I wish that they were not natural, for then many things would never have occurred in the first place. Remember the list of things that seem unnatural, like styrofoam and nuclear reactors? Everything that we create, we do naturally. To say that anything is unnatural is to deny our nature, and who wants to do that? We came to exist naturally. You may remember the mention of hydrothermal vents. This is where non-living material becomes something that is encased in a micelle, kind of like a bubble, and not quite a cell, and yet possesses the building blocks of life on this planet. RNA, ribonucleic acid. For those of you who hate biology, for shame. You wonder how life began, as I wondered about 10 years ago? That is how. There may be other ways that life occurs in nature, but this is where all of our research has led us. For millions of years, the Earth's surface was not habitable for multicellular organisms, and so we figured that cellular life most likely began underwater. You may attempt to trust this or go on believing that we somehow just appeared, or many of the other stories that we have told ourselves. I will remind you that while these stories have been told and people have blindly accepted them, other people were banging their heads against walls to figure out what really happened. I agree with you. It is difficult to not have any answers to the questions and to live a seemingly pointless existence. Well, we have answers now that indicate just that. Again, do not be discouraged. We can perceive this existence as fortunate, given that we did not exist during an infinite past. We are truly lucky to exist at all. I know this is very difficult for many of you born into very unfortunate circumstances. I'm here to remind you that you did not ask for any of this, and I am glad that you are here now. If a comet hits this Earth tomorrow, it will be a natural event. We can get very graphic here, and we do so only to prove a point. The nature of all that humans have ever done is very apparent. Genocide is natural. This does not mean it is good. I notice now that I have failed to mention that nature itself is neither good nor bad. Genocide is happening as I write in many parts of the world, and many people are doing things to stop it, which is also natural. Anything that you can think of that humans are and do is natural. Homosexuality is natural. Other animals behave in homosexual ways. Culturalism, which used to be known as racism, is natural. Religion is natural and fosters many questions without easy answers, and we need to move on. Tattoos and body piercing is natural because we do it. Anything that an animal does is natural. Since we are animals, it follows naturally that our actions are natural. It was natural for many groups of people to conquer the rest of the world's cultures and pound ideas in their heads, or pound their heads in an effort to create a perfect human civilization. But the ideas were based on false premises, so it really didn't work all that well and remains quite troubling to those who understand those actions and do not want to see them repeated. I remind you over and over that natural occurrences are not right or wrong. They are simply natural. Plane crashes are natural. Psychotic people are naturally psychotic, and they must struggle with their nature as we all must. Trips to other planets are natural. Our research is natural. It is natural for humans to pump their livestock with steroids and spray plants with pesticides, and it is natural for us to eat those animals and plants and get sick and possibly die earlier than expected. It is natural for humans to decide that they do not want to ingest this type of nature. Thus, we have organic food. It is natural for humans to spend more money for this food. Cannibalism is natural but commonly misunderstood, as it usually serves as some kind of ritual in older, more primitive societies. Learning is natural. Do you get the point yet? Anything that is a thing is nature and behaves naturally. To think otherwise is to be stuck with ancient thoughts that say we are not natural. In following energeticism, there is no such thing as supernatural, paranormal, or unnatural. These ideas are oxymoronic. They're self-contradictory. If there are ghosts, they are natural entities. If there are entities that are stuck in walls, then that occurred naturally. They are still energy. I can't believe in them until they present themselves to me undeniably. I have heard many first-hand accounts of these occurrences. A girl once told me point blank in rage detail that she was abducted. Come abduct me, even if it kills me. I don't mind. I have left everything as best I can, and that is the best that I can do. If other life forms have been here, continue to visit, or when they come, then that is natural. I really hope that this helps you to understand everything much better, treat everything and everyone much better and with more respect. Take care of yourself while taking care of others for everyone's sake. The best way to understand our nature is to realize that we are all made of the same elemental matter as our planet and that which we find in the rest of the known universe. Iron, the symbol being Fe, only forms when a star explodes. And it is that iron that courses through your veins.